is he thinking about and talking about all the time? Jane's extremely jealous of Alice because here's someone whose power might even be greater than hers, and she really hates that. So, good question. Okay, this one I slipped in. It wasn't actually in there, but I get asked this question a lot in line, and so I thought I would answer it now while I'm going through these. I get a lot of questions about the covers. Just so you know, I have not been featured on any of my covers, and I'm not really sure why people think that's my eye and those are my hands, but it's not. Those are professional models. As far as, I think the cover of the host is pretty obvious in the novel. I think it is a good representation. The Twilight books are all metaphors on the cover, well, mostly metaphors on the cover. The first one of the apple is the idea of forbidden fruits and the idea of a choice, because the apple is being held out to you. Are you going to take a bite? It's not mandatory, it's your choice. And then there's also the idea of the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, and whether you want to know or if ignorance is bliss. So I really like that cover, it works for me. The Eclipse cover, for me, is about the idea of trying to cut off ties to your old life, and how it's not a clean cut. You can't do that easily. There's too many things you can't let go of. Bella's trying very hard to pretend that she will be fine if she has no more ties to her human world. And then she finds there are some things that will be harder to give up than others. And then the tulip, I have no idea. I didn't get that one. All right. You've mentioned how your characters come alive and write themselves. Have you ever found they try to hide their faults from you or lie to you? I'm guessing this person's a writer. Do you write?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you must. I haven't really so much felt like a character has tried to lie to me, but there was one particular character that I wrote into the novel, and it was Rosalie. And she had no personality, she was absolutely flat. She was just this really pretty wallpaper for a very long time. And then as I was editing, it was like a little light bulb coming on over my head. I realized, oh, Rosalie doesn't like Bella at all, does she? And it was like she'd kind of been keeping that from me, and once I figured out exactly how she felt about Bella, her character just snapped into being perfectly round for me. So every now and then there's like some key element that just doesn't come through right away. All right, someone wants to know why 4 books in the Twilight Saga. I'm not sure if I will continue after the 4th one or not. It will be the last one from Bella's perspective, and the reason why 4 books is because this is the story length. I've always known the story, I've always known the end. Well, since Twilight was written, I knew the end. And it would have been artificial for me to try and pull it out longer, and they wouldn't have been good books, because this is the natural length of the story. And I could try and milk it and let her struggle over things forever and never resolve anything, but books would get boring, and so I prefer to just keep the story natural the way it occurs and not mess with it. That's why 4. All right, this one is one that everyone wants to know about. How do you like the way the movie is coming along? And then, is it faithful to the book? So far, I have been really pleased, beyond my expectations with the movie. They've done a lot of things right. They could have cast people who were known for their names so that they would get the drawing for all the, whoever fans would come out. And they didn't do that, which was a really smart idea. Instead, they hired really good actors. They hired actors who were just perfect, and they're doing such a good job. They hired a director who's kind of a genius and is taking this so seriously and doing such a good job. Everything I've seen so far, and I've probably seen, once they edit it down, maybe 15 minutes of what the total movie will be. And this is after spending days and days on set and all day watching clips in another room. But everything I've seen is really, really good. It's not exactly the same as the book, it can't be. It's a visual format, which is different. Okay, so I would go to the theater for 6 hours, and maybe some of you, but they're trying to appeal to a broader audience. So we're going to keep it at normal runtime, which means some things can't make it in, some things have to be combined. But I think in the end, what really is going to matter is that it feels like Bella, and it feels like Edward. And as long as they get that right, and I think they have, I think it's going to be really good. All right. Any tips for people like me who want to publish books? Well, I kind of gave you my main one already. Don't think about publishing them while you write. That ruins the experience. Write, enjoy the process. If you don't, if you're writing and you have to force out every word, you're like, this is just horrible, I don't like it, why can't this book be written already?
maybe two things. Maybe you're not writing the right story, and maybe writing isn't really what you love to do, because it's not being the author that's cool. It's writing the book that's cool. Being the author is often a lot of hard work and heartbreaking, crying all day long because your publisher sent you the ugliest cover you've ever seen in your life or whatnot. And so there's a lot of rough stuff, you know. It's not glamorous like I think some people think it is. It really isn't. It's the writing that is the good part. If that's not the part you love, it's not going to be worth it. The hard things are going to be too much. You have to love the writing to do it. When you're done, then you can start thinking about publishing. And what I didn't know anybody in the business. I just got online and did all the research I could do about literary queries and literary agents. And I found Writer's Market Online, which tells you where to submit your work and how to do it. I think it's really important to follow the rules because agents hate it when you get creative and send weird things in your envelope and it smells like perfume or whatnot. Just stick to the rules and do what they want, and you have a much bigger chance of getting considered. And my agent always says, and I didn't believe this, but she says, if you keep trying, someone is going to look at your work. Don't imagine that no one's ever going to see it. If you're persistent, it will get into someone's hands and be read, so have faith in that. All right, here's another writing question. How do you keep your plot going once you've started your idea? For me, it's always about the characters. When I was writing Twilight, I barely had to think about the plot. I didn't think about where it was going. All I had were these characters, and because there was so much in them to be decided, so much conflict, the story kind of wrote itself. With the host, once I had that very complicated triangle, there's so many different ways it can go, so it's just a matter of choosing them. I think as long as you have enough interest and excitement bound up in who your characters are, the story will flow. There are exceptions. If you're a mystery writer or something like that, I'm sorry, you're going to have to sit down and figure out that plot really carefully. But when you're just writing a story, as long as the people are interesting to you, it'll keep going. Okay, last questions. What other characters would you like to write stories for? That is a very cool question. Right now, I have in my computer files a partially started story about a ghost. I've got one about mermaids. I've got some about just everyday, ordinary people, which maybe I'll never go back to that one. I love the story. That's one of those murder mystery plots that I'll have to really do some heavy plotting on before I can write. I have a little bit of everything. I think the one thing that you shouldn't expect from me is for everything to be the same. It's not going to always be vampires or aliens. I'm going to try a little bit of everything. Maybe some of it won't be good, but I'm going to keep trying because there's so much that I want to write, and I'm not going to stay in the same box. So that's what I'll be doing for the next who knows how many years. So those are all my questions, and I think I'm going to be right here to be signing. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. You've been really, really great, and this has been so much fun to me to get to talk to everybody. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I know everyone is really anxious to get started. Hang on just 1 second. I need to find my line leader, David. As soon as David comes on up here, he is going to begin our line. Okie dokie? Okie dokie. Okay,